What is up, guys? My name is Cameron, and today I am going to be ranking all 30 Major League ballparks. I did this over on TikTok last year, but I've been to a few ballparks since then. A few have got renovations, and my criteria has changed a little bit. So the order is definitely going to be a little bit different, and this time I'm doing a tier list. I guess I'll start with going over the criteria that I use to determine my favorite ballparks. There's 4 categories. First one is beauty, so just how good the ballpark looks inside and out. The second is locations, so how nice is the area that the ballpark is in, how much stuff is there to do all around the ballpark, things like that. The third is game day atmosphere. So a team can be really struggling, but if they have a nice game day presentation, good music, good vibes and stuff like that, I think it definitely brings it up a notch. And then the fourth category, which doesn't play in as much for me, but still matters a little bit, is history. So how much has happened at that ballpark, what kind of cool historic moments have happened there, stuff like that. And here are the tiers that I will be ranking these ballparks in. The first one is perfect, so just basically nothing wrong with the ballpark, just love everything about it, all 4 of those categories. The second is elite, so really good, no complaints really, just a step below that perfect. The next is great, no real complaints, you have a great time here, pretty self-explanatory. The fourth is good but not special, so ballparks that do the job, that are fine, but they just don't have that uniqueness or anything that kind of makes them stand out. The fifth is flawed, so there's definitely some things that I find wrong with this ballpark. And then the last category is just get rid of it, ballparks that need to be replaced right now. So without further ado, let's get going. So the first on the list is Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm not a huge fan of this stadium. It seems very dark. It's very big for the crowds that the Diamondbacks are drawing these days. I get that you need a roof because you're in Arizona. It gets so hot there, so definitely needed, but it does make it feel really dark, especially on TV. I do love the touch of the swimming pool in right center field. I think that is one of the most awesome and unique features in all of Major League Baseball, so that brings it up a little bit. But for this, I am going to say flawed. I don't think the Diamondbacks need that big of a stadium. I think they could definitely downsize. It seems very cavernous, very dark. I'm just not a huge fan of the place. All right, so the next stadium we have is Truist Park, home of the Atlanta Braves. This is one of the newest ballparks in Major League Baseball, and I think it's really nice. I hear a lot of great things about it. I still haven't been, but I'm hoping to this summer. The Battery out in right center field and just basically the whole neighborhood that this ballpark is in seems awesome. Seems like there's so much to do, so many activities and stuff like that, even if you're not going to the game. The ballpark itself is beautiful. It's modern, but they incorporate some history of the Braves into the concourse and things like that. So the place looks absolutely phenomenal. I think I'm going to have to say that this one is great. I think it definitely has the potential to go up in the tier list once I go there. Like I said, hopefully this summer. So I think great is a good spot for that ballpark right now. All right, so the next one we have is Oriole Park at Camden Yards, home of the Baltimore Orioles. I'm a huge fan of this place. It was a trendsetter for modern ballparks today, kind of that retro modern style, and a lot of ballparks base themselves off of Oriole Park. I love the warehouse. That's a great unique touch in right center field and is a really cool backdrop for the stadium. My one qualm with this stadium is that they moved the left field wall back in 2022. It looks so out of place. The field looks really wonky now that left field is pushed out, and it seems like almost nobody can hit home runs that way. And I'm generally a fan of ballparks being hitters ballparks, so when they're making that move to try to make it a pitcher's ballpark and make no offense to the left side of the field, I'm not a huge fan of that. I might have said this ballpark is perfect before that change, but I'm just gonna leave it in elite now. I don't think it has enough to be perfect based on those changes. All right, the next ballpark is Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox. This ballpark I have gone to the most of any ballpark on this list. I'm a huge fan of it. Just the vibes of the place are off the charts. I think it has the best day in, day out atmosphere of any ballpark in the entire majors. Obviously, it's the oldest ballpark in the league, so I love that history aspect of it as well. The uniqueness with the green monster and the wonky dimensions with pesky pole and the triangle and stuff like that. I love that. I love ballparks being unique in their own rights. I guess my only qualm with it would be it's not as modernized as it could be. Some of the seats are really bad behind poles. Some of them seats are wooden because they're original to the 1930s. So it can be pretty uncomfortable, and a lot of seats you can't really see the game from, which does make it kind of tough. I think with a little bit of modernization, this ballpark could climb into that perfect tier. But for right now, I think I'm going to leave it at elite, but it is super close to that perfect level. It's just, can be a tough place to watch a game sometimes, and it could be a little dirty. All right, the next park we have is Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs. And a lot of the things that I just said for Fenway reign true for Wrigley. It is just a fantastic place to watch a baseball game, the second oldest park in the league, and you could really feel that history. But the one difference from Fenway is the Cubs have really modernized this. They've done some renovations over the past couple of years to keep that old look, but to make it a little more modern and a little more comfortable. They've changed out a lot of the seating and stuff like that, so not exactly the same ballpark as it was 100 plus years ago, but I think those changes are huge, and it makes the place so nice. Definitely doesn't feel as dirty as Fenway Park, I guess you could say. The bleachers are a fantastic place to watch a game, maybe the best experience in all of Major League Baseball. I did that last year for the first time, and it was one of the most fun times I've ever had at a Major League game. And plus the neighborhood around Wrigleyville is just incredible. Even if the Cubs aren't doing great, they love their baseball there, all the restaurants and bars and places around. It just makes for an absolutely great time, and I think Wrigley Field has to be the first one to go in perfect. I have no complaints about the place at all. It is just an absolutely fantastic place to watch a baseball game. I think it's my number one at the end of the day. Next ballpark we have is Guaranteed Rate Field, home of the Chicago White Sox. So we're going across town in Chicago, and honestly, it could not be more opposite from Wrigley Field. I really did not enjoy my time at Guaranteed Rate Field. In my opinion, the park is just very boring, very symmetrical, nothing really unique about it at all. The neighborhood it's in is not great. There's not really much to do around the stadium at all. And then one of my biggest qualms, I've been there for one game. It was a highly anticipated game against the Cubs, and I bought the cheapest ticket. It was up in the upper deck, and I hadn't realized it before I went, but you can't explore anywhere else in the stadium besides the upper deck if you have an upper deck ticket. So you can't go to the field level concourse even to just walk around and explore. So that really upset me, and that really brings it down. I don't think any other stadium in Major League Baseball has this policy. So really disappointing from the White Sox in a stadium that already very uninspiring. I'm gonna have to put it in the flawed category. All right, the next ballpark we have is Great American Ballpark, home of the Cincinnati Reds. I don't really have many complaints about this ballpark. I love a ballpark being on the water, right on the river there. I like the smokestacks and the boat in center field. I think that's a really unique touch. I guess my only one complaint is that Reds attendance has been really bad the last couple of years. It makes it tough to have any kind of good atmosphere at the game when so few people are attending. So I think if this place filled up every day, it'd be a fantastic place to watch a baseball game. I really don't have anything to say negative about it. I just hope more fans will show up. So I think I'm going to put it in the great tier. I think it's a really nice looking ballpark, and if the Reds are ever good, watch out. That place will be really fun. All right, so the next field is Progressive Field, home of the Cleveland Guardians. I did go here once back in 2021, and it didn't blow me away. The stadium's pretty basic for an outdoor no roof stadium. It is undergoing some renovations in 2024 and 25, so I think that it has the potential to jump up, but for right now I wasn't a huge fan of it. It's kind of boring. There's really not much to see. I really don't like the shipping container looking things up in the upper deck in right field. I think that's a big eyesore, and it just was nothing special. Nothing too much to complain about, but not a place that I feel like I need to go to again. It definitely won't be here after the renovations, but I think I'm gonna put it in the flawed category for right now, just because of the shipping container thing and not much else to bring it up from there. The next stadium on the list is Coors Field, home of the Colorado Rockies. This stadium is absolutely beautiful. It's right in downtown Denver, so great location. They have a lot of unique little things that make it stand out. You have the trees and the rocks with the fountains in center field, the row of purple seats that goes around the upper deck to signify 1 mile above sea level, and the mountain logo on top of the scoreboard. All cool, unique things. Plus, it's a great hitter's ballpark, and I love that. So, yeah, this ballpark is great. It has great sunsets, too, if you've seen some pictures. No complaints about this one other than it could be really cold in the spring or the end of fall. So, I think I'm going to stick this one in the great category. The next ballpark we have is Comerica Park, home of the Detroit Tigers. So, we're going from the best hitter's ballpark to the best pitcher's ballpark, which is kind of funny. I don't really have any complaints about Comerica Park. I really like the theming. They have tiger statues everywhere, outside, inside, on the scoreboard, stuff like that. I love that uniqueness theming around the team. I like the Detroit skyline in the background, but again, I do like hitters ballparks, and this being the most pitcher-friendly park in the league, I'm not a huge fan of. They are bringing the fences in next season, so we'll see how that plays. They're not bringing them in very much, so I don't think it'll change too much, but for right now, I haven't been. I'm excited to, so it might go up or down depending on what I think when I'm there. But for right now, I'll put it in the good but not special. I don't think there's much that makes it stand out that would have it move to that great tier. The next park is Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. I really love how unique this ballpark is with the train and the train tracks in left field. There's nothing else like that in all of Major League Baseball. I think it would have been even higher for me if they kept Tal's Hill. I was really disappointed when they took that out. Another thing that really sets it apart from other ballparks, but it's pretty generic center field with like a party deck now. My one complaint is that watching games here on TV, and we've done a lot of that since they've been in the playoffs and the World Series for much of the last several seasons, it looks very dark. It seems like very gloomy place to watch a game. I think it looks awesome with the roof open, but I understand they can't do that because of how hot Houston gets, but it really looks dark and gloomy and not that fun on TV. So because of that, I think I'm going to put it in the good but not special category. Next, we have Kauffman Stadium, home of the Kansas City Royals. This ballpark is a classic. It's pretty old, but it doesn't look its age. I love the fountains and the crown scoreboard. Those really set it apart from other stadiums. I really have no complaints other than the area that the ballpark's in. It just seems like it's kind of in the middle of nowhere and you're forced to drive to it. So that would be my only complaint. I think the ballpark is beautiful outside of that, and I'd love to catch a game there someday. I am going to put it in the great category. Next, we have Angel Stadium, home of the Los Angeles Angels. I've been here a while back, and I did enjoy my time there. I love the rock pile with the fountains in left center field. I think that's a really nice touch. The place is a lot older than you'd think, and you can kind of see the age when you're walking around the concourse. You can't tell as much with the outfield view, but once you're inside, you can tell it's pretty old, and it is in the middle of a lot of parking lots, just to see a parking lots in Anaheim. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I like ballparks being where you can go to a place before or after a game, so it takes a little hit for me there. But other than that, it's fine. I think the best reason to go to this ballpark would be to watch Trout and Ohtani anyway. I don't think it'd be about the ballpark itself, so I am going to put this in the good but not special category. Next up, we have Lone Depot Park, home of the Miami Marlins, and this is one that I think is slept on by a lot of people. I went here a couple years ago for the first time, not fully expecting it to be a great time. I don't hear a lot of great things about this ballpark, but it is absolutely phenomenal. You really need a dome stadium in Miami. It's so hot and humid, but it doesn't look dark and dreary when the roof is closed. It looks pretty nice. You have the window facing the Miami skyline. And in terms of ballpark atmosphere, I know they don't have a lot of fans that come to games, but the game day presentation is absolutely phenomenal. They play a lot of Latin music, and the vibes are just so Miami. It's a really fun and unique place to watch a game. My only complaint would be that they took out the home run sculpture that used to be in left center field, but it is still outside the front of the ballpark, so you can take pictures with it and stuff like that. I really wish they kept that in. That's really my only complaint. And yeah, I just think people sleep on this one way too much. I am putting it in the great category. I am a huge fan of Lone Depot Park. Next up, we have Dodger Stadium, home of the Los Angeles Dodgers. This one's an absolute classic. It's the third oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball, but it doesn't really show its age. They've done a lot of renovations, specifically in the center field area recently, to make it look really nice. It's just one of those classic historic ballparks. A lot of historic moments have happened there. It's in a great part of LA, and obviously watching a game in Southern California is awesome. The weather's always great, and it's really never going to rain on you, so that's a plus there as well. No complaints for me for this place. I haven't been, but I really want to, hopefully soon. I think Dodger Stadium is an elite level Major League ballpark. All right, I'm going to take a quick break to tell you guys about my company called At the Ballpark Apparel. I'm wearing one of the shirts right now. This one is the Quest for 30 Ballpark shirt, which fits what I'm doing here. On the back is a map that shows all 30 ballparks with a little checkbox next to it. As you go to each one, you could use a Sharpie and check off to mark your progress and show off your progress the next time you go to a Major League game. On top of this shirt, I have a bunch of other really cool designs that are perfect to wear to baseball games, so make sure you guys check it out. And I'm also going to have a new line of shirts coming for the start of the 2023 baseball season, so stay tuned for that. If you want to check out the website, it is at theballparkapparel.myshopify.com. It is the absolute best way to support me and everything that I do, and I'd really love it if you guys check it out. Next up, we have American Family Field, home of the Milwaukee Brewers. I get a lot of hate for calling it American Family Field. A lot of people still refer to it as Miller Park, but it's been like that for a couple years, so I gotta go with it. I went here last year for the very first time, and I had an awesome time. I took the tour and everything, and I think this ballpark is much better with the roof open. I think it looks great. I do love the roof, how it opens like a fan. It's so unique. There's nothing like it in the majors, and I really like Bernie's slide. That's a really nice little touch in left center field. But other than that, with the roof closed, the place can get pretty dark. It's not very colorful. I think the place does its job. You need to have a dome stadium in Milwaukee with how cold it gets, but I think it could just be a little bit better. And plus, it's completely surrounded by parking lots, There's nothing really around it that you could walk to at all. You have to drive to the game, so that knocks it down a little bit for me. So based on all that, I am going to put it in the good but not special category, although I had a great time there still. Next up is Target Field, home of the Minnesota Twins. This is one of the newer ballparks in Major League Baseball, and it looks really nice. Little surprising they didn't make a ballpark with a dome on it in Minnesota with how cold it gets there, but they did a great job with what they have. The ballpark is stunning. I love all the tan stone that make up the interior and exterior of the ballpark. I think it looks great. I really have no complaints other than it probably should have a retractable roof being in such a cold climate, but other than that, it looks awesome. Gonna have to put it in the great tier. Next up, we have Citi Field, home of the New York Mets. This one's a really fun place to watch a game. Kind of feels like you're enclosed like a box. A lot of unique aspects to it. You have the home run apple, Shea's Bridge in right field. It's very unique to the Mets, and I love that. My only knock on it is the area that it's in. It's a little rough. Most of it's surrounded by parking lots, and the rest is surrounded by car mechanics and muffler shops and stuff like that. So the area it's in is not great. I think if the area around was a little better, it could even get moved up to the elite tier, but I'm going to keep it in the great tier for now. Great place to watch a game, but the area is tough. And the same kind of goes for our next stadium, Yankee Stadium, home of the New York Yankees. This place is awesome. The exterior, I think, is the best part. Absolutely beautiful going around the outside. The Yankees incorporated a lot of history into it from their old ballparks. You have the frieze lining the upper deck in Monument Park in center field, and they kind of made the layout of it similar to the original Yankee Stadium, which I like a lot. My only real qualm with it is the area, which isn't great, and it's very much set up for corporate uses. The lowest seats are often empty because they go to corporate sponsors and people in suits and stuff like that, and they're not always as into the game or even watching it. Those seats look empty a lot of times, so I think without that it'd be in the elite tier, but I'm gonna have to put it in the great tier as well. The biggest fans should be the ones closest to the game, not the suits. Next, we have the Oakland Coliseum. I'm not even exactly sure what they call it these days, but something Coliseum, home of the Oakland Athletics. This one is really tough. I'm sure you guys have seen some photos of how rough this one really is. It's the only ballpark that could still be set up for football. Rogers Center is in that same vein, but they're renovating it right now to be baseball only. And you could really see with the big Mount Davis in center field, it's just such an eyesore. The stadium's in really bad shape. They don't take care of it very much. And there's been some plumbing issues there, rodent issues, so a lot of issues there. The Oakland A's really need a new ballpark really bad, or to move to Las Vegas, one or the other. But at the end of the day, this ballpark, I think, is the worst in the league, so I say get rid of it. The next ballpark is Citizens Bank Park, home of the Philadelphia Phillies. This place is great and really unique. I love the Liberty Bell sign that they have in right center field. I love the skyline of Philadelphia that you can see in center field. And all the steel beams of the stadium are painted this like rustic red color, which is really unique, makes it look cool and industrial. Plus it's a really hitters friendly park, which I love. I really have no complaints about this place other than it was built in the same area as the basketball and hockey arena and the football field, and all of them are just in a sea of parking lots. So it's not really walkable, not a lot of cool stuff around it, but other than that, this place is great, so I'm gonna throw it in the great tier. Next up, we have PNC Park, and this is one of my absolute favorite ballparks. I went here back in 2021 for the first time. Everywhere you walk inside and out of this ballpark is absolutely stunning. You have the skyline and the river behind right field, which is just the best looking backdrop in all of Major League Baseball. Even though the Pirates don't bring in that many fans, they make a great game day atmosphere. Plus, there really isn't a bad seat in the house. The upper deck is really close to the field, so you get great views from there. And just watching a game here feels incredible. I'm going to put it in my perfect tier. I can't think of anything with this ballpark that is bad except the Pirates product that they put on the field. If they ever get good again, that place will absolutely be rocking and easily the best ballpark in Major League Baseball. Next up, we have Petco Park, home of the San Diego Padres. I love this place. It's so unique. They have the Western Metal Supply Company building as the left field foul pole. There's nothing like that in all of Major League Baseball, which is super cool. The skyline of San Diego keeps growing in the background, so the backdrop is getting better and better every year. And this place is just a great place to watch a baseball game. It's in Southern California, so you know the weather's always going to be perfect. And the Padres are starting to get a lot more fans recently with how good they've been playing, so this place is rocking. The atmosphere is great. I really have no complaints for this ballpark, so I'm going to put it in the elite tier, but super close to perfect. Probably the first ballpark underneath perfect for me in this ranking. Next up, we have another really good one, Oracle Park, home of the San Francisco Giants. This one, again, absolutely stunning. You have McCovey Cove in right field that you can hit a home run into, which is super cool. The Coke bottle and the glove in left field are super fun. This place is just absolutely stunning. Inside and out, the food is really good. The fans show up and they're loud. Really passionate fan base. I think it's no surprise that this one is going in the perfect tier. Genuinely no complaints about the place. It is awesome. Next up, we have T-Mobile Park, home of the Seattle Mariners. I don't really have too much to say about this place. It rains a lot in Seattle, so you need that roof. But I like how they made it so it's not fully enclosed. The park is still open to the elements a little bit. The roof acts more like an umbrella, which is cool. Plus, they don't have it closed unless they absolutely need to. So I like the park being open air most of the time. It looks really great on TV from everything that I've seen, even when the roof is closed. It just seems like a great place to watch a baseball game. And I have no real complaints at all. I'm going to put it in the great tier for right now. I haven't been there, but I hopefully will soon. Next up, we have Busch Stadium, home of the St. Louis Cardinals. This place is really awesome, and Cardinals fans in general really show out. The ballpark is beautiful. It's right downtown. It has the Gateway Arch out in the distance. There's a ballpark village, so the vibes are always good before and after the game. The place is always packed with Cardinals fans. They're really passionate. And overall, the ballpark's just beautiful. No complaints for me at all. I'm going to put it in the elite tier. Haven't been yet, but when I do, it might move up to that perfect tier. We'll have to see. Next up, we have Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, we've all heard a lot of bad things about this place, and I went there for the very first time in 2022, and I think it gets just a little bit too much hate. Obviously, we all know the downfalls of this place. The roof, it's the only fully indoor stadium in all of Major League Baseball, which sucks. But I really didn't think it was that bad when I went. The Ray tank was pretty cool. In my experience, the drive to get there, which people complain about a lot, wasn't bad at all. So I'm sure it's different on different days and busier days, but being in the AC is nice. I guess that's a plus. It really is better than I expected, but I'm still gonna have to put it in the get rid of it tier. The Rays really deserve a new ballpark, and the problems with this one are pretty well documented. I do think it's a little bit better than the Oakland Coliseum though. All right, next up we have Globe Life Field, home of the Texas Rangers. This is the newest ballpark in all of Major League Baseball, and I think they could have done just a little bit better with it. It seems kind of like a carbon copy of Minute Maid Park, the Astros home stadium with the arches in left field and the retractable roof. It's really not that inspiring to me. It seems kind of bland for a brand new ballpark. I think they could have done a lot more with it. The area it's in, it's surrounded by parking lots again, so not very walkable and not many things to do after or before games. I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty nice, but it just seems pretty bland, and I think they could have done more. I'm going to put it in the good but not special category. All right, next up we have Rogers Center, home of the Toronto Blue Jays. I went here for the first time in 2022 as well. I wasn't very impressed with it. They're doing a lot of renovations right now, so it's going to be changing a lot. So I think my rating can definitely go higher. One of my biggest issues with it was all the open area around the outfield where their bullpens are. Just a lot of dead space. I think it would be much better suited for fans and for seats. And they're doing that. They're getting rid of that with these renovations. So this one's kind of floating right now. For right now, I'm going to put it in the flawed, but I can't say too much about it because they're changing a ton. So I'm excited to see it when the renovations are done. Maybe it can move up for me. And the last ballpark on my list is Nationals Park, home of the Washington Nationals. I really don't have any complaints about this place other than I wish it was in a better area. If they made it closer to a lot of the touristy things in Washington, D.C., maybe even had those in the backdrop of the ballpark, I think it'd be really cool. But it's not in the best area. The ballpark itself isn't very unique. It does its job. It's a good ballpark. It looks nice. It's just there's nothing really unique about it, and I think they could have done more. If you were to make an average ballpark, this is probably what I would think of. So I'm going to put it in good but not special. Alright, so there is my final list. Let me know how you guys think I did. I really like the list and where it ended up. I think there's a nice distribution of ballparks in each of the tiers, but let me know what you think I got wrong. Let me know what you think I got right down in the comments below. And if you like this one, like and hit that subscribe button. As we get closer to the baseball season, I'm going to have a lot more baseball content. I'm even going to the WBC semifinal and final in Miami. So there's going to be a lot of cool content coming up with stuff like this and vlogs from games and stuff like that. So thank you guys for watching.